Hey everyone, welcome to Daily Revelations. Thanks for joining me, and I'm going to be talking about the abundant life today. It's something we all want, isn't it? We want our life to be abundant, to be full, to be overflowing. Yet the problem is we have trained ourselves to go in the opposite direction, to be unabundant. And we just do that by following the culture. What God says in His Word is we have to be countercultural in order to be abundant. But how do we do that? Well, I was in both Matthew 11 and 12 today. I'm going to pull in a little bit of John too for you. But this war that has been going on since the beginning of time, of good and evil, we don't see it. That's why I love the Frank Peretti books. That if you know nothing about Frank Peretti, he writes about these battles that go on that we cannot see. And the Bible tells us this is true. These are things happening that our eyes cannot see, our ears cannot hear, but they are going on and they are pulling us in one direction or another. And we are like, well, as Jesus calls us, like children sitting in the marketplace. All of these things are going on. These big forces are going on around us. And as children in the marketplace, they just kind of play their little games, do their little things, and follow the culture that they are in. But Jesus says, no, don't be like the little children in the marketplace. Be different. And that is really hard because we see and we are trained by what's around us. Unless we pull ourselves out and we decide that we are going to be different and that we're going to recognize the battle is around us and choose the side that we're on. So in Matthew 11, Jesus talks about that. And he also talks about this attack of evil has been happening for a long time. This is also the same chapter at the very end where one of my favorite verses is. And it is this: come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest. How odd that this verse that we often come to when we are so wearied and burdened and struggled, just of life. That is what Jesus is trying to tell us. When we get caught up in the culture and we're trying to do what we think is going to give us abundance, give us happiness, give us all these things, we're actually going against what is going to actually lead to those things. We need to come to Him. We need to rest in Him. We need to allow Him to take the yoke and the majority of the burden from us. And then what I love about that verse is, learn from me. It's a relationship. When we're called into relationship, we are pulled out of that marketplace. And God says, I've got another place for you to come learn. And it's with me. It's following me. It's coming outside of where all this chaos and all this yuck and all these people who are being used as pawns by the evil forces in this world. And I want you to see it from the outside. I want you to live abundantly. But the only way you can do that is to purposely step yourself out of there and make choices every day to follow me instead. And so Matthew 12 goes on to show us lots of examples with that, because Jesus is walking on the Sabbath. He's healing people. He's loving people. He isn't just sticking to the rules that were interpreted from what people thought God wanted. They had no relationship with Him. All they saw was the law. And their way of enforcing the law was to interpret it and then to force it among the people. And Jesus is saying, you missed the biggest lesson there because you don't know me. You didn't come to know me. And so you're doing things your own way. And one of the things that he talks about also in that chapter is that you can, and he talks about how somebody goes in and cleans a house, and they can clean out the demon that's bothering them by rituals and practices and all this. Well, the problem is they don't replace it with anything. And so that nice clean place then is in this culture of this war that's going on. Guess what? Another demon comes in and welcomes all his friends, and you just made space. What do we do to counteract that? We invite Jesus in that space. And when Jesus is in that space, then the evil doesn't come in. It's this back and forth. Do we go with the culture? Do we go with how we can try, and I wrote it in here, do we try to clean ourselves up? Do we try to work on ways to make us look better, to solve all our problems, to work out our sins? Or do we say, God, I need you to come in. I want a relationship with you so that we can do this together and I can learn from you and I can be humbled by this, and that in the end, my life will be abundant because you're in it, not because of all the things I've tried that everyone tells me is going to work, because they're lies. This is the war that's been going on since the beginning. And Satan just repackages all his lies, and all of his minions do the same. And they seem so new and exciting, and that people just follow them. But really, they're the same old lie that you can do life without God. And you can't. When we face this, we need to choose. That's why it's called accepting the abundant life. You need to choose. Every day we choose. Do I accept God's relationship and what God promises and how I walk with him each day? Or do I accept to follow the culture and get sucked in to all the battles that are happening around me that are caused by culture? Or do I trust God? That God will win in the end and I can rest in my hope in him. Accept abundant life. It's so much easier. It truly is. So thanks everybody for joining me on Daily Revelations. I will see you again tomorrow. Bye everyone.